Buying a watch is one of those things that is incredibly expensive, but worth it for the right piece. I've spent far too much money on different things like handbags, shoes, and you reach a certain threshold where I just don't understand why things are priced the way they're priced. But watches are one of those things where you can truly see the difference in quality between a $100 watch and a $500 watch, or a $1,000 watch and a $5,000. So today, let's talk about expensive watches that you won't regret buying. I've ordered these from most affordable to least affordable, or the most expensive. I should say before we get into it, price and what people are willing to pay on a watch and what people consider to be expensive is very relative and personal to you. So I've tried my best to do a good spread here. And yeah, here's watches that you won't regret buying, regardless of price point. Now, I know I'm already starting this list at a higher price point with Seiko. For so many people, a Seiko watch is the first nicer watch that they buy, and that's exactly why I want to start this list here. There are 3 models that come to mind when I think of a timeless Seiko watch purchase. So the Presage, the Alpinist, and the Seiko 5 and Seiko 5 GMT. All 3 of these are excellent watches that scratch a different itch in the collection. The Presage is that little bit more dressy and retails for about £300 to £400. The Alpinist is quite casual, sporty but still elevated. This is probably my favorite Seiko, but it is still pretty expensive, retailing for £690, so just under £700. And the Seiko 5, and the model I've just bought, the Seiko 5 GMT, is full on sporty. Honestly, there's so many gems in the Seiko catalog, and I'm sure a lot of the Seiko lovers will be writing in the comments down below the models that I've missed. But these are just the top 3 that I would recommend. Okay, moving on. Hamilton. Hamilton is one of those brands that is unreasonably good for its price point. It is a higher price point than it was with the Seikos, so their watches usually retail around £1,000 or $1,200 USD to about $2,000. But I've got 2 personal favorites in their catalog, the Khaki Field Mechanical, the Murph, and just to throw a third one in there because I can't not recommend the Bolton Mechanical. All great looking watches, and once again, these would all scratch very different itches in the collection, with the Khaki Field Mechanical being out and out sporty, the Murph being that halfway house between sporty and dressy, and the Bolton Mechanical, classy, dressy watch. It's so good. All of these are available in a few different size options, and all available under £1,000. We don't deserve Hamilton in what they're serving us. Yes, Christopher Ward. This is a brand for me that has become synonymous with value. They have 2 watches that you will absolutely never regret buying, the 12 and the Belcanto. Starting with the 12, this is the brand's interpretation of what a Genta design would look like if he designed a watch for Christopher Ward. Very sporty, very good looking watches, available in stainless steel or titanium, 36mm and 40mm. I have a blue dial 36mm variation. It just feels so cool on the wrist, so easy to wear, so easy to choose. And next, the Belcanto, easily their most unique watch. So this is an hourly chime, which was created by reworking their jump hour movement, a heavily modified Sellita SW200-1. Honestly, you can't go wrong with Christopher Ward. All of their watches, they're so good. But if I had to choose 2, if I had to whittle down their catalog to just 2, these are the ones I would choose. Next, we need to look at the Citizen Soyotza and the newest drop from IFL, the Free Willie Concept timepiece, which has just gone live right now o'clock. I think I say this every time, but it's true every time. This is my new favorite watch customization from IFL. So the iconic Steamboat Willie, the precursor to Mickey Mouse, is now unfettered by time and copyright, and he's found himself on the moon, planting a flag of liberation to celebrate his newfound freedom. I love watches like this. When pop culture, nostalgia, and horology meet, mwah. It's a beautiful thing. If you're not as familiar with the Citizen Soyotza Automatic, this watch has a case diameter of 40mm, a fantastic size, works with so many wrist sizes, and a case material of stainless steel on a President-style bracelet. But of course, the standout thing here is the dial. The sunburst sky blue dial, setting the backdrop for Steamboat Willie on the moon, enjoying his newfound freedom. The dial artists over at IFL use fine enamel paints, and each dial is hand painted. No two dials are ever the same because these are hand painted. Wearable pieces of art. If you want to get one of these are limited to 150 pieces worldwide, so super limited. I have a link in my description down below so you can go check these out, and so many more IFL creations. Don't miss out. Go click that link, and thank you so much to IFL for sponsoring this video and letting me showcase this new awesome watch on my channel. Okay, whatever. I know, I'm a Nomos fangirl, so of course they were going on this list. And Nomos is, once again, that next step up in price, so $1,500 to $2,500 USD, but it does come with that extra step up in what you get. So you're now getting really original design language, very Bauhaus, and an in-house or manufacturer caliber movement. How can you argue with this? Actually, Nomos is what has inspired a bit of a change in my set. I don't know, just a bit of color. With their new colorful releases, they inspired me. If you're looking for the most timeless Nomos design, it either has to be the Tanganta or maybe something like the Orion. And for something a bit sportier, the Club. The Club might just be my favorite Nomos model. Tudor! It's Tudor time! I have yet to buy a Tudor watch that I regret. In terms of price, once again, it is that next step up, with their watches landing somewhere between £3,000 or $3,500 USD and $5,500 USD. But the amount of watch you get for the price, it's nuts. Just like Nomos, most of their catalog is in-house movements, in-house calibers. Well, actually, Nomos is all entirely in-house calibers. And Tudor has a few exceptions, but most of them are in-house calibers. But unlike Nomos, I go to Tudor for sportier models, and those are the watches that I would suggest buying. You will never regret something like the Black Bay 58, 200 meters of water resistance, 39mm case size. It's just a crowd pleaser. My other big recommend from Tudor would be something like the Black Bay 31 to 41. So these come in 31mm, 36, 39, and 41mm. And these are perfect sporty casual watches. Kinda Oyster Perpetual vibes. If I didn't already have an OP, this is what I would get instead. I would get this instead of the Oyster Perpetual. Moving into some of the mainstream big boys now, starting with Omega. I remember when I was a little girl and I would flick through magazine adverts and I would see Omega advertisements all the time. And they were these massively aspirational watches. And if you invest some of your money into an Omega, so not investment like an investment bro, but they are more expensive, but if you put your money into one, you will get a lot of enjoyment out of that watch. You can feel that step up in quality, design, the way it feels on the wrist. Just really special pieces. The three watches I would most recommend from Omega would be the Seamaster Aquaterra, so their go anywhere, do anything watch. Really elevated, great movement with the 41mm fitted with the caliber 8900, and the smaller sizes with the 8800, which is still awesome. Next watch, you really can't argue with the classic Seamaster Diver 300. This is sporty as you like, with a relatively new heritage. With this line only being started in the 90s, it has come to define Omega. And lastly, what any self-respecting watch nerd would say, the Speedmaster. This is the icon of Omega, the watch that NASA selected to go to the moon in the 60s, and possibly the most handsome, timeless watch you can buy. I mean, whether the watch community likes it or not, I find it hard to believe that anyone can regret buying a Rolex. Unless they bought at the height of the bubble in 2022. If they bought like a Tiffany blue Oyster Perpetual for £15,000. Oof. Regret. But I think Rolex is fun to hate on because they are the biggest, baddest watch brand. With far and away the highest revenue in Switzerland, largest implied market share, and they just get talked about so much that maybe they are that little bit overhyped. But people love these watches for a reason. Rolex watches have iconic designs, fantastic build quality, manufacturer caliber movements, and the economy of scale. And I forgot to say, their reliability. The way they treat their stainless steel, the build quality of their bracelets, the proportions of their watches, the wearing experience is just so dang lovely. The thing with Rolex is how to buy one, and the availability seems to be different depending on where you live. A lot of my American subscribers have been saying they're having a super hard time to get these across the pond. While here in the UK, and I can only speak for Bristol, the city where I live, Rolex is becoming more available again. There are still waiting list pieces, like the entire professional catalog, but it's nothing like it was back in 2022. And there are models for sale again, in the window. I even saw a full stainless steel smooth bezel oyster bracelet Datejust for sale in the window last weekend when I went into the AD. Which brings me to my Rolex recommends. The Datejust, of course, it's as classic as it gets, super customizable. There's the Submariner, just an icon of Rolex, sporty, cool, timeless. And maybe something like the Explorer, just another sporty, cool, timeless piece. But I like almost everything in the Rolex catalog. I'm the wrong person to ask. Leaving Switzerland and going back to Japan. So Grand Seiko is the more premium side of the Seiko group, and they genuinely produce watches that we don't deserve. Beautiful dials, innovative movements, pure chef kiss. My Grand Seiko recommendations would almost always be from the Heritage and the Elegance collections. Right now, my favorite model is the Lake Sua SLGA021. Freaking beautiful stainless steel 40mm case diameter, spring drive movement with a 5-day power reserve and 100 meters of water resistance. Like, come on, how can you argue with this? If it was me and my money, I'd make sure I'd get a watch with the spring drive movement. It is my favorite modern movement innovation and a real distinctive of the brand. But I can't fault anyone for preferring the high beats. Moving into higher horology, and a great bridge between the mainstream brands and the Holy Trinity, is something like JLC or Jaeger-LeCoultre, even though their name is terrifying to say. Jaeger-LeCoultre. Jaeger-LeCoultre. That's gotta be close. But when you buy a JLC, you're entering into that next level of watchmaking. I genuinely do not believe anyone could ever regret buying the Reverso, so a sporty dress watch, a lot of people would say out and out dress watch, but I still find it quite sporty with a reversible dial. Sometimes it's a duo face, so there's another watch on the back, or the mono face, which is the one I would personally go for. Or I'd also highly recommend the Master Control. The Master Control Ultra Thin might be the perfect dress watch. Minimal, refined, 39mm, and can even be bought in stainless steel for under $10,000 USD. I mean, you could buy a Rolex, or you could get one of these. Last but not least, I want to end this video with Patek Philippe. Now, what you guys might not know about me is that I am a shameless defender of Patek. A Patek fangirl, one might even say. Well, I'm not full force fangirl like I am with Rolex, but I'm pretty dang close. I think sometimes in the watch world, we think we sound so much smarter if we say things like, A Lange und Söhne is so much better than Patek. Which just isn't true. It's just not true. I would say they're on pretty even footing, and if anything, Patek customer service absolutely blows ALS customer service out of the water. Even some of their finishing, but we're not gonna go there because we'll get fighting. But I think Patek started to leave a sour taste in people's mouths with some of the shenanigans around the Nautilus and the 5711 a few years back, and that Tiffany. But to me, Patek Philippe is synonymous with high complication, beautiful watchmaking, and the tippy top of more mass-produced watches before we start entering Roger Smith or Hajime Asaoka territory. I'm sorry to all Japanese people everywhere for the way I pronounce Hajime Asaoka. I'm trying my best. If you are lucky enough to be able to afford something from their catalog, my favorite models are the 5227J, so just a classic Calatrava, less is more. The 5212A, which is, I'd argue, the most un-Patek, so an annual calendar in stainless steel. But if you've got some real money to play with, some real money going on, you have to go through their complications and grand complications. Do it for those of us who can't afford it. Live the life I want to live. I've got a real soft spot for the 5320G. Still kind of sporty. And to me, there's nothing more Patek than the 5327R. Beautiful perpetual calendar. But there's so many watches in the Patek catalog you would never regret buying. If you're in the place where you can afford these. Ooh. Right, guys. I've talked way too long. Let's end this video here. I'd love to know in those comments down below, what expensive watches do you own that you don't regret buying, or is there anything you're eyeing up? Let me know. Pass some advice along to others. Thank you once again to IFL for sponsoring this video. I freaking love this new release, and I love partnering with them. So thank you so much, guys. And let's thank the gorgeous, fabulous, wonderful Pope tier patrons. Hello, and welcome to a new segment that I call Patreon Art. First, I need to thank the Pope tier patrons, whose names are on the screen right now, the most amazing people on earth. Thank you so much for supporting my channel. And my artwork for today is my former favorite F1 principal, Gunther, giving a big thumbs up to my current favorite watch YouTuber, Andrew Morgan. Just in case you needed some encouragement, Andrew Morgan, here's a thumbs up from Gunther, and the thumbs up is for all the Pope tier patrons, all the patrons of Gringa Town.